What's going on, everybody? Off the Mike Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Survivor Series War Games just got off the air. 46,000 people, I think it was 46,016 people at Petco Park in San Diego for this four-match pay-per-view. And my overriding takeaway, this was WWE in a nutshell in 2025. This was safe. This was corporate. This was basic. Nothing really like super adventurous on this show. I will say, hey, Liv Morgan coming back was a little bit of a surprise, although there were murmurs throughout the day. And then when Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez came out there, I had an inkling that Liv Morgan was going to be involved in this. So if you want to call that really kind of something adventurous, but Stephanie Vaquera and Nikki Bella was fine. Stephanie, like, listen, I like Nikki Bella. I think she's had a nice little showing, but this match could have been on Raw. It would have been fine. Like, there wasn't anything special about it. The women's War Games match, I'll say, I guess it was probably better than last year. Last year's match was kind of a mess with a bunch of botches. Io Sky spot was pretty crazy. And I think the biggest takeaway for me in that match, more than anything, is AJ Lee in two matches after being away for 10 years has shown that she fits in seamlessly in this women's division. Like, she looks like she belongs. Like, it's not like, oh, this is a run-of-the-mill. And even Nikki Bella kind of looks like she does belong. It's just like, to me, this match didn't need to be on the paper. But AJ Lee has gone in there with Becky Lynch, and now she submitted Becky Lynch twice. And she climbs the War Games structure, gets in there like it's nothing. I mean, yeah, some people were like, oh, I'm expecting her to jump off the cage. I was like, guys, she literally has been this is her second match back in 10 years. But she looked like she belonged. And like, it wasn't like, hey, you're standing next to some of the standard bearers and some of the people that have helped grow this women's division since she was gone. And she's walked right in there and blended in. So I would say that was the thing that stuck out most in terms of the match. Like, there was nothing really special outside of Io's, standard trademark, trash can spot off the cage. It looked like the whole Asuka misting Lash Legend was kind of botched a little bit. Also, reality just slipped into my head as to why Nia Jax and Lash Legend were in this match. Lash looked good. Well, she came out to no pop. She was the last person in the match. But Nia's from San Diego. I should have seen that coming. They did it. Again, that's probably why that happened. Listen, all the women worked their butts off, but there was nothing really inherently special about this. I don't think this needed to be a War Games match. You could have done it as a 5-on-5 standard Survivor Series. I think we need to get away from the War Games stipulation in general, because I think in both companies, and I talked about this leading in, they both felt it. So the women's War Games match was fine, but really kind of not adventurous. But that's really how these women's War Games matches really have been. For the most part, since they've been on the main roster. Like I think the first one with Bianca Belair against the Damage Control team, that was decent. 2023 was the one with Becky Lynch and Charlotte teaming up against the Damage Control team. So it's just, and then last year was kind of a mess. It was kind of poorly put together. And then this year, hey, all-star teams, you put AJ Lee in there. It still felt pretty thrown together, whatever. So like I said, Stephanie Vaquera and Nikki Bella, it was fine. Nikki was born in San Diego. Get it. Stephanie, it's nice to see her get a decent reception. And that spiral tap that she does off the top rope is about as good of a move as you're going to see in professional wrestling. So I'll leave it at that. But that match should have been on Raw. That being said, there was only 4 matches on the show, so they had to put something else on the show. John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio was interesting, obviously, with all the interference and stuff. A lot of people are going to have issues with that. I'm going to do a separate video on that because I have no earthly idea of why people expected anything different from that match. There's no way John Cena was going into his final match, presumably against Gunther, for the Intercontinental title. There was no reason for him to carry a title into his last match because Gunther doesn't need it. He's above the Intercontinental title. He already held it for longer than anybody. It didn't make sense. Dom was going to win this way. So And the Liv Morgan twist ending, it was a shock to see her back. I think that was really one of the bigger moments on this show. And, hey, Cena, he had a Super Cena moment. He AA'd both JD McDonough and Finn Balor. You could take with that what you will. Like I said, it wasn't an amazing match, but, it was fun. It was fun. What'd you expect? A 5-star classic between John Cena and Dominic Mysterio? Really? And then the men's War Games match. We got some blood in this match. I was surprised CM Punk um, he started and ended the match basically because he was him and Braun Breaker were the first two in this match, and then ultimately Braun Breaker pins him at the end when there's a mystery imposter who came in, did a super kick, and then also did a stomp. I will tell you with 100% certainty because they didn't reveal it. And they left it a mystery. I can tell you with 1,000% certainty that was not Seth Rollins. You'd have to be an idiot to think that was Seth Rollins. The guy just had surgery and it's been made very public. This is a ruse. I think it's going to be Austin Theory that's going to be revealed as this member. I saw the verts that he got up in the air, the athletic ability. It seemed to remind me a little bit of an Austin Theory. So I would expect that to be who it is, and that be the new member of the Vision. So it's an interesting little wrinkle in all of this. There was tension teased between Cody and Punk, and then obviously Cody and Roman at the end. You could tell that the heels were going to win this match. They laid into it very thick throughout the match and throughout the entrances that nobody on the babyface men's War Games team had lost a War Games match ever, which was a very interesting stat. And the fact that they brought that up, I was like, also Brock Lesnar was on the other team, so there was no way that and also I think this was a great opportunity for either Drew McIntyre to get a pin on Cody or Braun Breaker or one of the Vision guys to get a pin on whether it be Roman or it ended up being CM Punk. It was fine. It was some people are saying it's the best War Games match. I'm not exactly sure about that. It was a good match. One thing that I did actually kind of appreciate a little bit, and also I was kind of a little bit disappointed just because of the whole Roman in the cage dynamics that they've had in previous War Games matches. There was no shark cages for either one. Here's my theory about that. Brock Lesnar was like, I ain't fucking sitting in a cage for 30 minutes. I'm sitting in my locker room for 30 minutes. I just knowing who Brock Lesnar and knowing that man's ego, there's no way in fuck he was sitting in a shark cage for 30 minutes. So that's what I think happened there. Just dumb, but hey, whatever. This company's going to be what this company is. I hated Jey Uso doing his encore yeeting thing mid-match. It's a fucking War Games match, for God's sake. It's a fucking War Games match. I like Jey Uso. They have overexposed the yeet, and they have overexposed main event Jey Uso. I'm done with it. He better not fucking win on Monday over LA Knight. It should be LA Knight and Gunther in the Last Time Is Now tournament. And based off what I saw at the end of this show going off the air, my vibe is I honestly thought it was going to be Roman Punk. I think we're getting Cody and Roman 3. I think that is what we're getting. I think Roman will either win the Chamber or he will win or he will win the Rumble and he will face Cody Rhodes. It'll be Cody Roman 3 at WrestleMania 42. We had it at 39, we had it at 40, and we're going to have it at 42. That's the vibe that I got because Roman very clearly was very upset and he said, I'm never teaming with you again. So the tension is there and he actually seemingly got along and he fist bumped CM Punk, which I thought was odd. So listen, I like the Cody and Roman rivalry, but I think that it should be I think it should be either Cody and Punk, which was not going to happen with both of them being champion, or it should be Roman and Punk. But I guess they're going to go with Punk and Breaker, I think, as the world championship match because Breaker just pinned the world champion. So clearly that's what they're building to out of this. So, in terms of a stadium show, this was not like when you put a show in a stadium, and I'm leaving out the Saudi shows because those don't fucking count. When you book a show in a stadium and you have that many people in the stadium, you expect more from a 4-match show with 2 double cage matches, which were fine, but nothing special or out of this world happened on this show. And it's John Cena's last PLE match. A lot of people are pissed off about that. I don't know what you want me to tell you about that. Um, Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer had a television match on a PLE, which is not great. So this this was really emblematic of what this company has become in 2025. It started with the Netflix show, and this company has gone corporate, 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 safe, safe, safe. And it's to me, if you don't, the only thing that is saving this company from bottoming out, like I said, they still had 46,000 people because, hey, it's a big event and it's in San Diego, a market that doesn't get PLEs in a baseball stadium. So, of course, you're going to get, and the concept kind of sells itself. But WWE, with their creative, and also there was a ton of stars that they threw out there. They just did this based off of star power, no story. And that's the problem. And I saw somebody tweet this out on social media, and it drove me crazy, saying people need to accept that Survivor Series is not supposed to be an important show or something like that. It was something along the lines. Hold on, I gotta pull this up for a second. I had this. So I'm trying to pull this up here in my. The sooner people realize that Survivor Series is now just a fun, somewhat inconsequential show that they do after Thanksgiving, the better, because y'all are setting your expectations too high. It's also right before Mania season. They ain't trying to deal with injuries. They literally dealt with injuries last year. And this is one of the longest running shows in WWE history. And this is why I think they need to do away with the War Games concept, because it's overdone. You're forcing stipulations into the match. And if you're going to say that, then go back to the traditional 5-on-5 format, because at least there you can tell stories and be kind of safe. When you put a match in a double cage and you have it's war, that's when you open yourselves up to injuries. So don't do this stipulation unless you're going to be epic. That's my problem with this show. I'll also explore, AEW and WWE had their own issues this month with this concept that needs to be explored as well. So, like I said, I didn't hate this show, but I didn't really think it was the most exceptional show either. I think it was really, like I said, corporate, safe, pretty basic, and a couple of cool moments here and there. But like I said, for a stadium show, should deliver more than this. They got to be better. They have got to be better in 2026. I understand that they're still making money, but the only reason why they're still making money and not losing butts to seats is because the other place stinks too. Those are my thoughts on this. I'm going to have some other stuff coming up here, reacting to War Games. John Cena's final match in 2 weeks is the last major television event. They're not calling it a PLE. I'm effectively calling it a PLE. Yes, it's on Peacock, but it's Saturday night's main event. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.